נצליח, וינום אדוני אלוהינו עלינו, מעשה ידינו כוננה עלינו, מעשה ידינו כוננו. Everybody, שבוע טוב ומבורך. בסייעתא דשמיא, we're gonna do a first shiur, Bezrat Hashem, and with an intention, maybe Bezrat Hashem, we're gonna continue. But this shiur is, first of all, I want to dedicate it to the Atzlacha of Baruch family, that they were like the Nachshon ben Aminadav. Yeah, Nachshon ben Aminadav is that tzaddik that was the first one to jump to the sea, jumping to the sea and doing something, Baruch Hashem, for the community. As chazak u'baruch to you, atzlacha b'kol ha'inyanim, amen v'amen. Pesach is in less than 2 weeks. Yeah, so some people get a little bit, scared. Some people get shocked. Well, what's going to be, Pesach. But I think that Pesach is a beautiful holiday. We shouldn't be scared of Pesach. We shouldn't be, even thinking a little bit negative about Pesach. Even though there's a lot to prepare, and that's what we're doing today. We want to prepare for Pesach, not from the physical aspect, from the spiritual aspect, which is more important in a sense. Our neshama needs to be ready to get the big light of Pesach. And when I say big light, I mean a big light. One of the biggest nights, if not the biggest night in the whole year, is Leila Seder. In Leila Seder we get our soul, our neshama. Every year, again and again, we get a new type of soul, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu judged the world 2 times. One in Rosh Hashanah. In Rosh Hashanah, mostly the judgment is a physical judgment. On Pesach, there is a spiritual judgment. What's going to be with your neshama for the next year is mostly judged on Pesach. And on Pesach, after eating the 3 kazites of matzah and 2 kazites of maror and 4 cups of wine, after you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning a new person. You wake up in the morning with a new neshama, with a new soul for the next year. New potential. And we can even say a new spiritual mission. That's why the more you prepare for that night, the more you gain spirituality for the whole year. That's why Chachamim say in Pesach, Chachamim say on Pesach, that it's the preparation for Pesach has to be more than every other holiday. If you prepare for Purim, you need to prepare for Purim, for Rosh Hashanah, for Yom HaKippurim, but for Pesach the preparation needs to be the most, not just because of the details of kashrut, it's also because of preparing our neshama to get that new neshama, new soul, new light, new soul for the whole year. And today I want to explain how those physical things, we're going to go to halachot as well today, but how those physical things that we do, like cleaning the house, mag'ilim et sirim, koshering the pots, koshering the dishes, koshering the oven and the other kitchen items, how those things affects our soul. Because we think it's just technical. I can't eat chametz because of whatever reason. So I need an oven for Pesach, so I need to clean the oven. But what's happening spiritually when I'm doing it? If we would know, I think it would give us a lot more motivation to actually do it. Sometimes you feel, I don't have powers to clean the house. Let's do the shortcuts. Whatever possible to shortcut, we'll shortcut. But when you understand the deep meaning of it, it gives you motivation. And that's why I think, it's not my chidush, it's Rabbi Shimon's Bar Yochai chidush, that especially in our generation, it's not enough just to learn the technical stuff. It's not enough to just know the pshat of Torah, what's the halacha say, even for women. We need to know the deep meaning of it. Because if I take, for example, my grandmother's generation, she was doing everything because it needs to be done. You ask her, but Safta, why? She says, because. Lama kacha. Why you have to kosher the pots for Pesach? And they were koshering it like hardcore. Mamash, with fire and like... you thought it's Lag BaOmer, but it's Pesach. And my grandmother would not eat milk on Pesach. Once I told her, it's not chametz. She says, no. In Uzbekistan, they didn't eat milk on Pesach. Why? Because maybe the cow was eating...
It wasn't halal Israel.
Right. So there was so many restrictions. They were very strict on Pesach, and they did it happily, with no questions, and they somehow also had motivation to do it. Even though they didn't understand emunah. Today, unfortunately, we lost a lot of it. You know, you go to your kid, you tell him to do a certain mitzvah, he says, but Rabbi, why? Give me the logic behind it. Now, in a sense, it's good, because our generation is the generation of Mashiach. We are more spiritual. We want to know the spiritual reason behind things. And it bothers us when we don't know. So in a sense, it's good. So in those shiurim, I want to a little bit reveal, together with the halachot, that we have to know, but also to understand the deep meaning of what we're doing. Be'ezrat Hashem. But before I start with Pesach, let me speak a little bit about something that is before Pesach. There's something called Birkat HaIlanot, and we're going to have it soon. Birkat HaIlanot is a blessing that we do for the trees once a year only, and the best time to do it is in the month of Nisan. According to Kabbalah, some opinion says that if you missed Nisan, you can't do it anymore. According to Halacha, you still can do it until Sivan even. However, it's not the same effect, and I'll explain in a moment why. Even in the month of Nisan, we have 30 days. The best to do it in the first day, Aleph Nisan Rosh Chodesh, or in the first few days, because it says Rizim Makdimim LaMitzvot. And our rabbi said that there's few reasons why we do this Birkat HaIlanot. The Pshat explanation, very basic understanding of this mitzvah is because we have to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for everything beautiful in life. And after a winter, a few months, that the trees were very sad, were very empty, were very not nice, the weather. Now, Baruch Hashem, we have some flowers coming out. And we thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu for that beauty. And for that opportunity, that from those flowers, there's going to be fruits, and we're going to enjoy those fruits. This is the basic explanation that you can explain to everyone, and it makes sense. However, there is something more deep. Chachamim say that on Nisan, Birkat HaIlanot is doing a big tikkun, big fixing in the upper worlds. This world that we live in is a very interesting world. There's a lot of things that we don't see, but we affect. There are certain souls that in this world, they didn't fulfill their mission. Those souls, it's either they did big sins, or they didn't finish something, and unfortunately, a lot of them, they have to reincarnate and come back to this world again, like all of us. Today, Rabbeinu Ari says that there's no new souls, we're all reincarnated, even a few times. But there's certain souls that can't reincarnate in a human being. They reincarnate in other stuff. In trees, in animals, sometimes in anonymate, in domim. Rabbeinu Ari says, Even mikir tizak, that a stone can scream. How can a stone scream? Because there's a neshama inside. And this is a fixing for those things, and it's a whole subject that we have to do a few maybe lectures about this. However, we have to understand that such a concept exists. When we eat, and that's what one of the reasons why we eat so much in Judaism, every holiday, food. The reason is not just because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to be fat, no. Hashem wants us to fix as much as we can, to elevate souls. That's why even when you make an azkara, yortzeit, you also eat. Even if it's sad or happy occasion, doesn't matter. We eat. Why we eat? Because by eating, we're doing a big fixing of those souls. Now, according to Kabbalah, the 12 months of the year are divided to four sections. Every section is connected to a certain level of souls that are reincarnated. For example, we said there is Domem, Tzomeach, Chai, Medaber. Inanimate, Tzomeach, how it's going to be? Huh?
Something that grows.
Grows, yeah. Growings, we have animals, and we have people. This is 4 levels of creation, right? So every 4 months has a certain connection to one of the levels of creation. And there is elevation to this level of creation at that 4 months. And the biggest elevation starts in the first month of those 4 months. The month of Nisan is the beginning of elevation of the growings of the trees. That's why in that time, if you do bracha, you elevate all the souls that are in this area. Not just the souls that are reincarnated in the trees, also there are certain souls that are called neshamot artilayot. It's souls that are lost. They don't even have a place up there. They can't come back to this world, and they don't have a place in the upper world, so they're somewhere in between. Something like Afakela as well, right? So those souls, the only way to fix them, one of the ways to fix them, is they don't have menucha, they don't have rest. Sometimes they just go on trees. They are located there and grow wings and grass and trees. When we do at that time, Chodesh Nisan, the blessing of elevation, we elevate all those souls. That's why this blessing is so important. I'll tell you 2 stories to understand that. There was a big rabbi in Syria. Damascus is Syria, right? Yeah. How you say it in English? Damascus. Yeah. So he was a rabbi there, Rabbi Yakobov Antebe. Big tzaddik. Mekubal, new Kabbalah. He was doing Birkat Eilanot every month of Nisan with his community. And they were going to one of the forests that was a private place of an Arab, that he was growing there a lot of trees, fruits trees, yeah. And this Arab actually liked the idea that they come, because he always thought that those Jews, there's a lot of stories about them, those blessings that they do may give me more parnasa, So he was even giving them some fruits to eat after they make the bracha, and they will go out. One year, Rabbi Yosef Antebe told the congregation, listen, every year we do Birkat Eilanot, but this year I want to do it special. We learned all the kavanot of Kabbalah, of the Rashash, Rabbi Shalom Sharabi, how to do Birkat Eilanot in the highest level according to Kabbalah, with all the intentions. It will take us an hour, but it's worth it. Everybody was in. They said, let's learn it, let's do it, yalla. We never did that. They learned all the kavanot, and they went to the same place again. They did this ceremony there with all the intentions and the brachot, and they went away. After a few weeks, the Arab owner, see that something happening with the trees. They become dry. Now, if it was 1 tree, 2 trees, all the trees, that was very serious. He was sure that we somehow made, a black magic something, curse his trees. He was very mad at the rabbi. And next year when they came, he was throwing stones on them just to go away. He told them, never ever come here again. Look what you did. All the students didn't understand what happened. They came to the rabbi and asked him, "For the rabbi, explain us how did that happen? Because of us?" He told him yes. He says, but why didn't it happen before? He says, but because now we did it in the highest level. So why it became dry? He said, because we fixed all the neshama. We fixed all the neshama. So therefore, there was no chayut, there was no energy left in those trees. They fixed themselves. Of course, they didn't want to damage it. After that story, there was an halachic question. If someone damaged spiritually, like that, a tree of his friend, does he need to pay for that? It's an interesting halachic question. But halakha l'maaseh, you don't have to, because you don't do it with an intention to. Right? But this is what happened. After that story, by the way, in my congregation in Canada, in Toronto, we also had Birkat Eilanot. After me telling them this story once, they were very excited and says, let's do the kavanot, let's try that as well. I said, listen, this is too complicated for us. However, we can do something similar. I told them that the Ben Ish Chai brings down, Rabbi Nachman and Breslev and a lot of other rabbis, that when we want to make a mitzvah in the highest level, but we don't have the ability, we don't know all the information, we don't know all the intentions, we can do one thing that we'll consider as we did. This is called itkashrut latzadikim. To connect your mind with one of the righteous people mind. That's why you will see in some prayers, L'Shem Yechud Kudsha Berichu, for example, in Kriyat Shema She'al HaMitah, Ben Ish Chai brings down, Areni mechaven ledaat Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, ולדעת רבי אלעזר בנו, כי כוונתי ככוונתם. He says after the preparation for the mitzvah, he says that I am connecting my mind with the mind of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and his intentions considered like my intention, because I am the small man, cannot do those kavanot. So I just connect myself to this tzaddik. And guess what? If Chachamim say it, means it's working. So I told it to our community in Toronto, and I said, you know what, let's try this one. Next time we're going to do Birkat Eilanot in Nisan. I would do the kavanot that I know, but you all just say with me together, Anachu mechavnim ledaat Rabbi Shimon Bar, and I said a lot of tzaddikim names.
How many trees died?
Huh? 1 second. We had only 2 trees. It was in the backyard of one of the members. You can actually ask him, because he's the one that puts all my shiurim online, Rabbi Azaria. We did it in his backyard. And we did the bracha. At the same day, his neighbor, I don't know what happened to him. A ruach shtut came inside his mind. He decided that he doesn't like his tree. It's not his tree, it's the neighbor's tree. But it was a little bit... Sometime, he just took masor. How do you say masor?
Chainsaw.
Chainsaw?
Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Pilu.
Yeah. And he just peeled the tree. Few hours after us doing Birkat Eilanot, he came to me and says, look, the tree was here, we did, and it's as if it finishes, it's tikkun, There's no need for the tree anymore, like mamash, like the story. So we saw, Baruch Hashem, that whatever Chachamim say, those barachot are very important. Halakha l'maaseh, in Nisan, we should go, women and men, to go do Birkat Eilanot as early as possible. If you didn't do it on Aleph Nisan, I think Aleph Nisan this year, I know it's not going to be Shabbat, it's going to be Thursday, I think. Yeah. So you go, you make the beracha. If you have a minyan, it's even better. But even if you don't have a minyan, just do it yourself. You have to have 2 trees, lechatchila. Those trees have to be fruit trees that you see the flowers coming out. When you see them, you make that beracha, and just have in mind, you don't know all the intentions. Just say, I connect my mind with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, with Rabbi Nachman Breslev, with the Ben Ish Chai, with whoever you are connected to. Bezrat Hashem, you're going to do a big tikkun at that moment. So that's just a little bit about Birkat HaIlanot. After Birkat HaIlanot, we're going back to prepare for Pesach. Now, preparing for Pesach, Chachamim tell us the reason. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'akol niya b'dvaro.
Amen.
Toda rabba. Preparing for Pesach, the reason why we prepare for Pesach is because Pesach is a day of cleaning, not to the house, to the soul. What is chametz? Chametz, okay, we know chametz is 5 grains, right? That if those 5 grains touch water for more than 18 minutes, it becomes chametz. That's the technical term of chametz. 5 grains is wheat, barley, oatmeal, kusmin, it's spelt, and what are the chiffon. I don't remember how you say it in. I don't remember the name in English. Doesn't matter. Usually people don't use it.
Gandom.
This is in Persian. Okay, so those 5 grains, if they touch water, more than 18 minutes becomes chametz. This is the technical term of chametz. But what is real chametz? Why HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't like that chametz? And only on Pesach. You know, I went to a supermarket in Canada. We have a big kosher supermarket, Sobeys. I went there to buy some things for Shabbat. Then I saw a Jew. He's a very secular Jew. You can see from his outfit. He was buying bread. The bread fall down on the floor. You needed to see this scenario. He just jumped on the bread, kissed it from view. You know, like he had such a kavod, such a respect for the bread. He's not religious. Nachon? People has a certain respect for bread. Even not people that are religious. They understand that bread is something special. We even have halachot. You don't just throw bread like this. If you see bread on the floor, you will pick it up. That is, all year we give such a respect to the bread. Even in Shabbat, you don't fulfill an obligation of Seudat Shabbat if you don't have bread. You don't fulfill obligation. You know that the Chatan and the Kala, that they are married. Bezrat Hashem. Yirbus Machot B'Yisrael, all those who don't have Shidduchim. They have a Seudah, they need to eat bread. You know, if the bride and the groom, if they don't eat bread in the wedding, you can't do Sheva Brachot. Asur, at the end, right? We do Sheva Brachot. You have to ask them, did you eat kazayit bread? If they didn't, no Sheva Brachot. It's so important. Also in the all other 7 days, if those two, Chatan and Kala, didn't eat bread, you can't do Sheva Brachot. People don't know that. So important to eat bread. We give such a respect to bread all year. All of a sudden, Pesach comes, you take that respectful bread, you know, and you burn it, you throw it to the garbage, you don't have even one crumb of it is asur, is like banned, that's bad. What's happening here? You know? Imagine a non-Jew looks at us, you know, from the side.
We are crazy.
And he thinks that, you know, I was doing the selling of chametz for Toronto. Every year we're sitting together with a goy. And the guy was looking at us like we are aliens, you know. He was doing what we said to him, but he's like, he was like, what's your problem to have a whiskey? You know, like it's you don't drink it, it's in the shelf. It's very hard for them to understand. It's very hard for us to understand. I want us, before we get to this Pesach, to understand what is that chametz, what's the problem. So we know what we are searching for and getting rid from. So this chametz, Chachamim say, the physical chametz, it's not a problem. The problem is what the chametz symbolized. Because everything we do in this world affects the upper world. Affects your soul. This is the secret of Magen David, by the way. If you ever ask yourself, why the Magen David is 2 triangles like this? There's a big, deep secret in it. The two triangles corresponds to the land and the sky. So the first triangle is the land, that everything that we do here in this world affects the upper world. And then whatever we did comes back to us as shefa, negative or positive. Depends what we put up. Now, when we search for chametz in this world, we get rid of chametz, we're basically getting rid of something else. Something that's called yetzer hara, evil inclination. Or in other words, the ego, which this is the main characteristic of the evil inclination. And that's why chametz in this world always raised up, right? Tofeach goes up, symbolizing the ego of the person and the evil inclination. Bekitzu, chametz symbolizes something not good. So Rabbi Shimon in the Zohar, so why do we eat it all year? Just banned it for the whole year. The reason why we eat it for the whole year is because in the week of Pesach, we overcome it so much so we can actually handle it the whole year and work with the Yetzer Hara. Hashem doesn't want us to take away, to cancel the evil inclination. He wants us to sweeten the evil inclination, to live with the evil inclination and make it good. So for that, you have to give a knockout. You have to give him a big bomb on first most important 7 days. And in a second, I'll tell you why it's the most important 7 days. And if you overcome him in that moment, the whole year, you'll be free of him. That's why Arizal says, if someone is so careful of Chametz Pesach, b'mashu, even that small thing of Chametz coming to his mouth, he is for sure, he said, not going to sin the whole year. A sin would not come into his hands. Now, the fact that we do sin, it means that our Pesach was not the best. You understand? Now, this is what the Arizal is saying. Now, why Pesach is so important? Because the first week of Pesach, you basically get your neshama. You lived with a certain neshama up until Leila Seder. In Leila Seder, this night, you get Mochin de Gadlut, that's the term in Kabbalah, that's a new neshama. New moach, new brain. This is basically your birthday. We have every year a birthday. The whole nation have a birthday on Pesach. You can say happy birthday to your friends in the Seder. Because that's your spiritual birthday. Yeah. Now, yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course. If 7 ate kazait and 3 ate mezanot, it's fine. This is a good question. I don't know. It's a good question to go into it.
What else?
Lichora, bediavad, it looks like it's okay. Now, first 7 days of Pesach is our beginning of our new soul coming in. Now, it says in the holy books, Akol olech achar ha'atchala. Everything goes by the beginning. If the beginning is good, so all the rest will be good. If the beginning is crooked, is not good, so then it's going to be very hard after. Yeah, we see it from, for example, Motzei Shabbat. On Motzei Shabbat, what we do in Havdalah? And now it's Motzei Shabbat, we just did Havdalah. One of the weird things that we do in Havdalah is laughing. Nachon? I don't know if you heard that, but we should do that. A lot of people, after they do Havdalah, ha 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 ha, like they force a laugh. What is that? We do that, Yafeh, because Motzei Shabbat is the beginning of the week. It's Sunday now. We call it Motzei Shabbat, but technically it's Sunday. It's the beginning of the week. If you start the week with happiness, so the whole week will be B'ezrat Hashem happy.
Can we shake the money?
Huh?
Money to shake it?
You shake money, betach, lama lo?
To start with the money.
Start with money, you'll have money, B'ezrat Hashem. I would say start with tzedakah. First thing in there, give tzedakah, boom. Hashem will give you back. But same thing is Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh, why it's so important? You have to be happy in Rosh Chodesh, dress well in Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because whatever you do in Rosh Chodesh will affect the whole Chodesh, the whole month. So it's very important. Same thing, Rosh Hashanah. Whatever you do in the beginning of the year will affect the whole year. Now Pesach is the beginning of our spiritual year. According to Torah, the year starts in Nisan, not in Tishrei. So the spirituality is dependent on Pesach. The soul is on Pesach. So because we start now who we need to overcome is the Yetzer Hara. So when is the best time to overcome the Yetzer Hara? On the beginning. So that's why in Pesach you can't have a Yetzer Hara. You can't have anything that symbolizes the Yetzer Hara. Chametz is exempt. It's asur. Because if in this world you will have chametz, it means you have chametz in the upper worlds, in your neshama. And that's a problem in this week. Now, okay, so why do I need to search for chametz? And I have to take it out, because whatever we do in this world affects our neshama. So I'll give you an example. The more money you have, the more houses you owe, it means you have a bigger neshama. Did you know that? Now, it doesn't mean that you're a bigger tzaddik. You can be a big rasha with a big neshama. You take it to the rasha side, to the bad side. But a potential of neshama, if you have a big potential of neshama, you will owe a lot of things. That's why Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, it says in the Gemara, Aya mechabed ashirim. Rabbi Akiva, Aya mechabed ashirim. He was respecting rich people. So a lot of students that read this Gemara, they think, oh, you see, they were mitchanfim. They liked the Reshaim because they wanted their money. Chaz v'shalom. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was richer than everybody else. Rabbi Akiva also became one of the richest people in the history. Yeah, he was very poor for 24 hours, but then Baruch Hashem, the Gemara Masechet Ketubot says that there's 6 things that he became a billionaire because of that. One of them is his father-in-law that gave him a lot of money. He found some money. There was a lot of stories there. A lot of tzaddikim at the end of their life, they die with a lot of money. Only few tzaddikim that they need, tikkunim like Rabbi Chaim ben Dosa and others. This is a different story. When you owe a lot of things, you have a big house, it means you have a big neshama, big potential of neshama of soul. Every room in your house is a room in your soul. Every item you owe is a place in your soul. Now, when you clean the rooms from chametz, you know what's happening in your soul at the same time? Those rooms in your soul cleaned from Yetzer Hara. That's why if you don't do bdikat chametz, it's not going to clean. A lot of people ask, why do I need bdikat chametz? I just cleaned the whole house. I know everything is clean. But by going with this light and knife, which is against the Yetzer Hara, and salt that we put, which is also against the Sitra Yetzer Hara, and Notza, and we go to the room, even though just to light those places and just find for chametz this light that goes in those corners of the room, in your neshama, in the same time, this light of Kedusha, of holiness, is lighting in the rooms of your neshama and cleans the chametz. That's why our rabbis, the Chafetz Chaim, the Gaon Mivina, they were spending hours on Bdikat Chametz. And you would say like, Rabbi, lama? Go learn Torah. No, every corner, because he knew that every time that I'm with this Bdikat Chametz. Now, women don't need to do that because her husband and her, it's the same neshama. He does it for her, right? But this is the deep understanding behind it. Now, you go and you take the candle and you say, I'm actually cleaning myself. It's a shower. It's a spiritual shower. You want more time to spend with that candle. And why do we put 10 pieces of chametz? Because there's Eser kitrin de mesavuta. There's 10 powers of tum'ah. Correspond to the 10 sfirot of kedusha. There's 10 sfirot of tum'ah that we are searching for them. That's why we put them. So it's all very, very, very deep. All those small things that we do on Pesach. Those preparations. Now let's go to the preparations before that. Agalat kelim. Our pots. The countertop. The stove. All those things. As we said, those things are parts of our neshama, of our soul. By cleaning them, we clean a certain place in our soul. Now, the kitchen is the place that has the most chametz from. So this has to have a big focus there. We clean those things, and at the same time, certain parts of our soul cleaned. When you do agala means with water, boiling water, or you do libun is with fire. Not every item you can do agala. The rule is kebol'o ken polto. How the pot was swallowing the chametz, that's how it's gonna release the chametz. So if the pot was swallowing the chametz directly with fire, the only way to kosher this is only with fire. But if it was swallowing the chametz mostly only with water, so you can take it away with water. Now, I'll tell you the truth. A lot of people just buy new things for Pesach. It's okay. If you have the ability to have a set for Pesach, chazak u'baruch. But according to halacha, you don't have to do that. You can take your forks and knives and all of those cutlery, and you can kosher it. Now, because it's never swallowed directly, you never put you never put on a pot inside, without any liquid cutlery and cook it, right? You only take the fork and you put it on already something that was coming out of the pot, right? Or you would put it in the pot, but it was not mamash directly, there was some liquids there. That's why cutlery, to kosher them, you only need hagala. What's hagala? It's either you take a pot, you fill it with hot water. When it's boiling, just put the cutlery inside. 1 second, it's kosher for Passover. If this is very hard for you to do, you can do something else. You can do even irui. Irui means you boil water in a kettle, and you put all the forks and you put on all of them right after it's boiled, to not wait. This is also good for cutlery. You can kosher that. Koshering the plates. Now plates is a problem, because most of the plates are ceramic or porcelain. And porcelain has ceramic inside. And ceramic you cannot kosher, because ceramic is swallowing but doesn't release fully all the chametz when you warm it. That's why this type of dishes, what we do with them, you put them in the somewhere that people don't see, and you keep it for after Pesach. What about glass? So here we have already different opinions. According to Sfaradim Shulchan Aruch, he says that glass lo boleh lo polet, doesn't absorb, doesn't release. That's why basically, technically speaking, according to Sfaradim, you can use glass even for meat and dairy. We don't suggest that, but technically you can do that, and you can hold of this opinion. That's how Shulchan Aruch say, Rav Ovadia say that. That's why if someone doesn't have money, he doesn't have more plates, and he want to use the plates of glass that he used the whole year for Pesach, what does he need to do? Just wash it. wash it regularly, and it's good to go. נכון? פשוט. קל להיות ספרדי, נכון? בכמה דברים. In certain things it's easy to be Sephardic. In certain things, no.
סליחות.
סליחות, huh? You know, in Canada there were Ashkenazim that coming to our slichot. I was so impressed. I asked them, why are you coming? You have only 1 week. You come for the whole month of Slichot? He says, no, I like it. I like it.
המדינה, they like it, the
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. Tzadikim Am Yisrael. So, this is cutlery and plates. Glass, yeah, if it's from glass, as we said, if it's from ceramic, it's better to have, you need to have for Passover. Now, what about the kitchen? Let's go very fast, quickly, because it's important. How do we kosher the kitchen? Now, you have to know that, first of all, in Pesach, if you want to be strict, machmir, there's no limits. Usually the Torah says, listen, al tiyeh tzadik harbe, don't be too righteous, you know? It's not good to be too machmir. It's not good to be too strict. Be balanced. What the halacha say, do. You want to do a little bit more, do a little bit more, not too much. When it comes to Pesach, the Shulchan Aruch gives you a free, freedom. You want to be machmir, do. In Pesach, it's blessed. But even with this permission of Shulchan Aruch, not always it's good to be too strict. Sometimes it makes the atmosphere at home not nice. I know a lot of people that they hate Pesach because of their mother. She wanted to be a tzadika and clean the house according to all opinions and even paint the walls. Because maybe there's a crumb of chametz in the wall. So what did she do? She was always screaming, don't touch, don't go, don't eat, go out. And for him, Pesach was a war zone. So she missed everything. Leave the fact that Kaas, to being angry, is the Yetzer Hara himself. Is the Chametz. So you take the physical Chametz, just symbolize the Chametz inside, but you bring the real Chametz out with your anger. What did you do? To being angry, the Gemara says someone that gets angry, his neshama cannot stay the anger. She goes out, and another neshama from the bad forces comes in. He's a different person now. And if there was any other souls of tzaddikim that reincarnate in him, sometimes we get souls of tzaddikim. Ibur neshama, it's called. Let's say you do a big mitzvah, that a tzaddik made this mitzvah, it's a spark of his neshama come to you, helps you in avodat Hashem. If you get angry once, all those sparks go away. Just lost so much help. Chabad. Because of what? You wanted to do a mitzvah. Rabbi Nachman says sometimes the Yetzer Hara, he comes to you, usually comes to you with the garment of a mitzvah. Tells you, what do you mean? You're doing it for Pesach. You're getting angry for Pesach. That's not the way. So we have to understand, to be too strict is not good. Lo leachmir midai. So what we have to do? What the halacha say? So Ashkenazim are more strict in Pesach, in most halachot of Pesach, than Sfaradim. And there is a reason why. The neshama is different. We are all Jews, but our tikkun in life is different. There's Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel. So now there's Ashkenazim and Sfaradim. And their souls came from the Gvurot. They have to serve God from Dinim, with Gvura, with strictness. Sfaradim is more with Chasadim. And that's why whoever was born to an Ashkenazi family has to go by those laws. If you didn't eat rice and kitniot and Pesach, you should continue with that. And same thing is Sfaradim. You should continue with the halachot. Why? Because it has a connection to your soul, to your tikkun. Don't change it. Now, some people, the countertop, they put aluminum foil the whole countertop. It's nice, but you don't have to. According to halacha, you can kosher a countertop with soap or with a spray, and then to put a kettle of water, and right away when it's boiling, to just put it on the countertop. You say countertop, right? On the countertop, and the countertop is kosher for Pesach. Then we have the stove. Stove is complicated. There's different types of stoves. In Israel, most of the stoves are fire. Okay? Kiraim. Most of the stoves are fire. The stove has to be cleaned. The fire stove has to be cleaned well. And the metal that the pot sits on has to be either burned with libun or covered with aluminum foil. It's easier to cover it with aluminum foil, but if you clean the stove very, very well, cover those, and then you turn on the stove for maybe 15 minutes, all those, it's kosher itself, and it's good for Passover. For Sfaradim, you can use it, no problem. Then, you have another type of stove. Some people have this, the electric stove. You don't have it here? Nobody has it here?
Yeah, Hashmali, yeah.
Chashmali. You have the spin, and there's one with mamash glass. In Canada, in the States, they have this ones. Those ones are a little bit, the spin, it's not so complicated. You just clean it and you turn it on, and it's kosher. The one with the glass, there's a big balagan and machloket with that. According to Sfaradim, the way to kosher it is just to clean it very well with a spray, and then to put hot water on each one of the spots of the stove. You put hot water on each one of them from the kettle right away, and then after you clean it, you turn it on for also like 10 minutes, and the stove is kosher. That's the way to kosher this type of stove for those who have. Now, what about microwave? Today, people can't live without microwaves. Nachon? Our grandmothers didn't have a microwave. Today, everything has to be fast, you know? So, microwave. Microwave on Pesach, it's a big balagan. There's so many opinions, and most of opinion says that microwave cannot be kosher for Passover. Now, that's why I don't think it's so hard, because the first and the last day of Pesach, anyways, you can't use microwave. So you have only, you have only 5 days. From those 5 days, you go travel, you're not at home at all, you know. If you can not use microwave on Pesach, best. For those who can't, for whatever reason they have to, there is a way to kosher the microwave according to certain opinions. And this is by cleaning it very well inside, taking a glass of water, put soap inside that glass of water, and to put it inside the microwave for 15 minutes until all the water will be... steam. Yeah. And then it's, according to some opinions, okay to use it. What about the oven? Those who have the new oven, you can just put it on the self-clean mode. I'm going to explain. That's why I say those who have the new models. They don't have? In Israel they don't do it?
They have it. Some certain, most of they have it if you ask.
No, but the majority of people don't have professional ovens.
Yeah, so those who have self-clean mode, it's the best. By the way, self-clean mode, it's not just good for the oven, it also can be good for certain pots. You know the Bukharian pots, kazan? Yeah? How you kosher such a thing to Pesach? Yeah? So, be'emet, because sometimes it's used by fire directly, if you put such a thing in the oven in a self-clean mode gets to 500 degrees. This is like fire. And this is mamash, takes everything away. If you can do that, this is kosher the oven right away. If you don't have the self-clean mode, what you should do is you should use a good spray that will take all the stains out of the oven. And after you did that, it's good to not use the oven for 24 hours with chametz. Then spray it. And after you do that, you clean it very, very well. Put it on the highest level for 40-45 minutes, so it will kosher itself. That's the most lenient opinion, and you can hold of that and kosher the oven in that way. B'ezrat Hashem, it's going to be kosher for Passover. This is briefly how koshering the kitchen, how koshering the cutlery and everything else. Maybe we'll speak about another thing, maybe very, very fast, and we'll finish with that. What about the items that we buy for Pesach? The food items that we buy for Pesach. Now, we live in Eretz Yisrael. In Eretz Yisrael, there is hundreds of kashruyot. This kashrut, that kashrut. And it's really confusing sometimes. You don't know what's good. We just said that if your Pesach is going to be clean of chametz, your whole year would not be, you're not going to have any sin. So, of course, we want to have this. The biggest suggestion on Pesach is to, as much as we can, stay away from things that are metoasim. How do you say metoasim? That are too, like, from factories. Manufacture. Why? Because those manufactured things that they have so many items together, in those places there's a lot of problems. To kosher big, for example, I don't know, bamba, okay, or bisli, you know, those snacks that are not really needed on Pesach, and those snacks are usually made in factories that are using chametz all year. Now, yes, they call the rabbis, they call everyone else, and they kosher it, and they clean it, and they wash it, but to such a huge factory. And also they have to make the taste good, so they have to use different other brands to put things together, you understand? And here you put yourself into a place for one bamba with a big doubt. So, those who really wants to keep Pesach like kmo shetzarich, I'm not saying it's asur, I'm not saying it's not allowed. It is allowed, it says kosher on it. But for your own Pesach, try to eat the simple things. You know, chips, fries that you buy, those tapu chips, and this is usually you have badat, sedah haredi, they have special factory for that. But other stuff that are too complicated, too many things together, don't get into it. Eat the simple things, the meat, the dairy, the potatoes, those vegetables. It's also more healthy, and your Pesach will be also very authentic. The kids would, they will enjoy that also. I remember from my grandmother's house that everything was very, very simple, and you remember it for all your life, We have Purim for Bisli and Bamba, huh? אין שם תיקון נשמה? יש, אבל בפורים כבר תיקנו אותם. Actually, you know what? You reminded me something. Sometimes there are certain souls, neshamot, that are reincarnated in anonymate, in domem. So the Arizal says, how do we fix them? You need to eat them. Does someone eat domem? You don't eat it. You don't see people eat a chair, a table. We don't eat those stuff. So he said, sometimes when you eat a vegetable, on the vegetable there's a little bit of sand. Stick to it. You eat a lettuce, there's a little bit of sand stick to it. In this sand, a lot of times there's a certain neshama soul that God has chut that you will make a bracha on the lettuce, but you ate also that sand, you fix that neshama. Now, also they said the same thing is about, sometimes we have a concept called batel b'shishim. You heard that concept? It's cancelled in 60. What is that? Let's say we have a pot of meat, and someone by mistake somehow put a drop of milk in that soup pot of meat. Can we eat that meat? So because there is 60 more than that drop, according to halacha, it's kosher. Same thing is not just with that. Sometimes it's with mamash isur. Let's say there is a small pork, small piece of pork. Somehow, I don't know, was thrown and boom into the soup of meat. Kosher, mehadrin soup. But that's Aida Haridit. Soup with peot and kippah and everything and tzitzit. And there's one small, but there's 60 more than that pork in the soup. Can you eat the soup? Huh? And it's mehadrin? Oh, so you're right and you're right. It's kosher, but if you find the actual piece, let's say you don't know how to. The piece is mamash like the other meat. You can eat it. Everything. Can I finish it? Halacha. If you can find the pork and take it out, okay, but it's still good.
What about a piece of bread?
שנייה, חכה, נגיע לחמץ. רגע, so now, there's a big question here. How come Chachamim making this pork kosher now? Oh, so you know what's the secret of it? Sometimes there is certain neshamot that are reincarnated in something that we can't eat. And in that case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu make it kosher. So you can fix that neshama. But it's only within the halacha. Of course, you can't just say, okay, the rabbi said there's some porks that are good to eat because he goes and may eat a bacon to make a fixing of neshamot. No. It's only when it's batel b'shishim you can do such a thing. Now, what about Pesach? Lo batel be'elef afilu. You have a whole pot, 1,000 kilos of a soup, and in Pesach 1 crumb falls in, the whole soup is not kosher. אתם מבינים?
What about water in Kinneret? We get water from Kinneret. In Kinneret sometimes we throw bread.
You throw bread, יפה. So I'll tell you more than that. The whole halacha of lo batel afilu be'elef is only when it's on Pesach. But if there is something that before Pesach, you did something kosher for Pesach, and there was one crumb that came in, and this crumb is batel b'shishim, but it was before Pesach. Technically, it's kosher to eat it on Pesach. Ki hu lo chozer v'ni'or. There is a whole machloket if something that was batel b'shishim, all concept of there's no batel b'shishim, it's only on Pesach. But before Pesach, there is batel b'shishim even in chametz. And when it comes to Pesach, it's not coming back to being, chozer v'ni'or. לא, כי זה עכשיו בפסח. אתה לא מבין. זה אני מדבר איתך בתערובת. תערובת it's when it's mixed with something. And by the way, most of the matzot that you eat, matzot mechona, there is a little bit of chametz there. Now, how chametz? Because when they make it before Pesach. And sometimes in the same dough, there's certain pieces that stay, but they are batel b'shishim. You understand? And the new dough comes, and it's mixed with that dough. That was more than 18 minutes. If you eat regular matzot or even regular stuff, sometimes they are, this is halacha. I eat. You can eat any matzot.
From gold and silver. What?
I try to eat matzah shmura. No, avodat yad is only on Pesach. But I try to eat matzah shmura the whole Pesach. Bli neder. It's not something that... No, mechona. Avodat yad rak I'm eating on Leil HaSeder. Leil HaSeder. Matzah shmura shel mechona, you can eat it the whole Pesach. And again, why matzah shmura? It's just a chumrah. You can eat a regular matzah because of what we just said. So Bezrat Hashem,
You don't have to eat the entire week matzah. Only like Leil matzah.
you have to eat matzah. According to Gaon Mevilna, there's mitzvah to eat the whole 7 days matzah shmura. But we don't go like the Gaon Mevilna. We go like halacha. And halacha is that only the first night you have to eat matzah shmura avodat yad. Yeah, some people are machmir. Matzah shmura. What's matzah shmura? No, זה עבודת יד. What's matzah shmura? What's the word shmura? Shmura from the word shamur. Oh, מי שמר עליה? Who was shomer on the matzah? Yes, משעת קצירה. What's meaning משעת קצירה? So I'll tell you. Sometimes when you cut the wheat, right, you put it in bags. Maybe there was some water somehow touch the wheat after you cut it, or after they made the grain it, maybe someone there was drinking water from one of the workers, and then it's spit on the and then it's Yafe. Why we are not choshesh? Because we have the rule of batel b'shishim because it's before Pesach. But those who are machmir, they say, one second, I want this wheat that I eat be kept and supervised, that there was no water whatsoever from the time it was cut to the time it came to the oven. This is called shamur mishat ktsira. You understand? That's a chumrah. If you can be machmir, tavo alecha beracha, it's good. But you don't have to. Now, there are certain things in Pesach that you will find the most chametz in them. And this is tavlinim. Spices. Kurkum, turmeric, and kamun, you know. So if you go to the shuk and you buy in the shuk when it's all open and you don't know what's there, they tell you, we are kosher, you don't know what's there. A lot of the regular spices that are not for Pesach, they have mamash chametz gamur. For example, I don't know if you realize, but do you know that the pepper, try it, the pepper that you eat on Pesach is a lot more spicy than the pepper that you eat on a regular day. The pepper of kasher lePesach is a lot more spicy. You know why? Because most of the pepper, the black pepper, is mixed with barley. That's why you can even see sometimes you have black and a little bit white there. Dots. Black and white. The pepper is black and white. Where is this white from? It's barley. On Pesach, it's all pepper. If you buy the good kashrut lePesach. Now, some people say, it's only black pepper, you know, beseder. Or sometimes even worse. Sometimes you buy a black pepper or any other spice that it says kosher for Passover, but you used it before Passover. So you say, but it's kosher, so I'll keep it for Passover because it's kosher for Passover. No. Why? You opened it before. You put it on the pasta, and all the steam of the pasta go where? Even one thing that goes inside, it's a problem. One crumb.
Steam of the pasta, would that be like
Huh?
steam of the pasta, what can it be? it's not actually chametz.
Doesn't matter, it says טעם of חמץ. עדיין, בטח טעם של חמץ. Even טעם בלוע של חמץ זה בעייתי. You have a pot. The pot doesn't have chametz, but there is absorbed chametz. Right? And it brings it back. Even טעם שבלוע בסיר, it's a problem. אז טעם שבלוע בספייס, זה נכנס בתוך הגרגירים של הזה. לא, גרגירים של הספייס. Okay, בעזרת השם יתברך, it's already late. As today we a little bit discussed the פנימיות, the secret of Pesach, and we also discussed הלכות of Pesach. בעזרת השם יהי רצון, that הקדוש ברוך הוא will help us, that first of all, by learning it, it's already a preparation for Pesach. It will help us, give us more motivation, give us more being careful בעזרת השם. But don't think that we went over all the halachot and all the things. There's much more to learn about Pesach. And bli neder, if we will have an opportunity, we'll do another shiur like that. I want to bless all of you. יהי רצון. הקדוש ברוך הוא ייתן לכם כולכם ישעות ונחמות. מה שתעשו תשכילו ותצליחו. בריאות איתנה, פרנסה טובה, שפע גדול. ושיהיה חג שמח לכולם. ברוך ה' לעולם. אמן ואמן. If you have questions, בבקשה.